alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Merry Monday, everyone. Merry Christmas to all, except, of course, you, Joe Manchin. How you doing, Fancy Brian?
I am pretty happy and merry.
Well, we're doing a live show, man. First time I've been at work in like a week and a half.
We're live right now?
I hope so.
Oh, I should probably be prepared for that.
Buddy, I haven't taken that much time off the radio in like 5 years.
I know that, because I've been here with you for 5 years doing radio, and I well-deserved, sir. I'm glad I'm hoping that you turned off and just checked out for a little bit.
I will regale you with tales of what I did on my Christmas vacation in Las Vegas, baby, including an appearance on the Foxy News. I told you I was going on Fox News, right? You didn't tune in, did you, Fancy?
I did not, but to be fair, I tuned out of literally everything besides pretty much hanging out with family. That's it.
Well, I knew that you weren't tuning in, and probably most of the audience, they weren't tuning in either. So we pulled the sound, at least a couple of bites, right?
Yeah, we got him, man. We got anything you said.
Crudy on Fox News taking his Christmas beating.
And you will like it.
Barely. So anyways, we'll tell you about that. And also I got a fine code devil coming in the next hour. Professor Harvey K. Dr. K coming back. Harvey, always a welcome guest. He's a favored.
He's fun to have. He also is very knowledgeable and is a human encyclopedia of sorts.
He is very encyclopedic. So anyways, lots of stuff to talk about on this big show. But you know, I gotta start with the president of the United States, Joe Biden, my president, your president, our president. Joe Biden did some Christmas calls. He and his wife, Dr. Jill, took some NORAD calls. And, well, ironically, there was a Foxy News guy. Well, Foxy News in that he probably watches quite a bit of the Foxy News. And we don't know this at this point, but a little bit later, during the course of the conversation between the Biden family and this guy, and apparently, during the course of the conversation, talks about his kids and different stuff. And then he sneaks in a little snideness. Let's call it snideness at the end. Fancy Brian, if you'd played for the people, little Christmas greeting from this guy from Oregon. I think his name's Brandon. Merry Christmas, President Biden, or something of that effect. Play cut one.
I hope you have a wonderful Christmas.
Well, yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas as well. Merry Christmas, and let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree. Hey, by the way, where are you in Oregon? Where's your home? I think we lost him.
Yeah.
All right.
Where's your home? Because I'd like to send a couple of Secret Service guys by.
Don't you have homes?
To wish you a Merry Christmas, personally. I mean, really, who calls NORAD? Who calls, the Santa hotline and happens to have a conversation with the president of the United States and decides they're going to take this opportune moment to give the old let's go, Brandon. And if I didn't tell all of you, some of you people miss an occasional show and I chastise you for it. Nothing but coal in your stocking. But back in October, I went to a Trump rally and I explained to you folks, and I didn't know it until I got to Des Moines, Iowa, big Saturday night event. All the Trumpsters, they were there. And they were chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." Hell, a plane flying overhead, pulling a banner. "Let's go, Brandon." Well, "Let's go, Brandon" means F Joe Biden. And it's not exactly a very warm and fuzzy Christmas sentiment to offer the president of the United States in a Santa call on NORAD. But this Oregonian, this Brandon, he did it. Oh, pardon me. Jared's the guy's name.
Now, this isn't the first time a president has been punked. If you remember, Stuttering John punked Donald Trump back in his administration, but he also didn't do it on, let's say, a Santa hotline. He actually got the call through the switchboard, I believe.
Well, this guy's name, apparently, Jared Schmink. He's sort of a schmink. I think of him as a schmink. But Jared apparently went on the Steve Bannon Insurrectionist podcast today. I don't think that's what Bannon calls it, but of course, he was one of the lead insurrectionists, and pretty soon his reckoning will come. But in the meantime, he's producing a propaganda podcast, and this guy has captured the conservative imagination at Christmas time because he said to Joe Biden, "Let's go, Brandon." And went on the podcast today. And Schmeck, SCHMECK, Jared, apparently told Steve Bannon, "That's absolutely false. Donald Trump is my president, and he should still be president right now. The election was 100% stolen, so I just want to make that clear." Now, this guy initially, this Schmeck, he looks like a Schmeck. He said, he meant no disrespect to President Joe Biden. He was saying it in jest, little jesty like, little F you, Joe Biden, to his face, in the encoded "Let's go, Brandon" message. But he said, I was just expressing my First Amendment rights.
I said no offense.
I said no offense. I peed on your carpet, but I said no offense. Why are you offended?
It was a joke. I was trying to pee on your carpet just to show you how funny it could be.
So the true colors, and the guy wore his MAGA hat today, the Oregonian, the Jared Schmeck guy, those true colors, they've shined through now. We know exactly what he meant. He meant disrespect, of course. And, this guy has kind of been a whiny bitch about it too. His First Amendment rights are being abridged somehow. And I would point out to him the fact that you said to the president of the United States on live television on a kid-friendly Santa hotline show, F the president to the president's face, and the fact that the actual Secret Service didn't show up at your house and scoop your ass up and throw you in jail. That's the First Amendment work.
Yeah.
Jared.
And the people who are telling you you're an idiot, those are the people using their First Amendment rights, like I just did, to call you one.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
they're
because
also
I'm allowed to
quite
say
expressive.
that. And by the way, why is it they always complain about being canceled while on a national podcast?
They don't understand the meaning of the word. Well, here's a scary thought. The great looking hair guy, the Nazi guy on the former Trump administration guy, Stephen Miller, balding Goebbels looking guy.
Oh, that's hair? I thought that was spray paint.
Well, that one time he went on with, the Scott Walker looking toupee thing going on. But anyways, here's what his conspiracy theory was, because I don't know if you picked this up, but Fancy Brian, the president, kind of embraced the "Let's go, Brandon." Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's trying to be positive.
Is he trying to embrace this moniker, this Brandon? Is he trying to throw it back in the conservatives' face? Is this a troll from Joe Biden?
Well, I mean, if he is, he's doing it a really nice way. I think it was more.
You don't think it's a troll? You don't think he knew that he was?
It depends on whether you think he's aware of this situation or not. And I think it's hard for him not to know that that's what that means at this point.
Well, here's the nefarious conspiracy theory of, former Trump administration Nazi in chief, Stephen Miller, who claims Joe Biden said, "Let's go, Brandon," as part of an insidious conspiracy. I'll share it with you now. Former Trump advisor Stephen Miller called President Joe Biden insidious on Sunday because he repeated the phrase "Let's go, Brandon." During an interview on Fox News. Where else? Miller pointed to Biden's recent Christmas-themed telephone call where a parent said, "Let's go, Brandon." Biden responded by repeating the phrase, even though it is a slur that is commonly used in place of F. Joe Biden. According to Miller, talking to Larry Kudlow, known cokehead. Don't have to allegedly on that
I think Larry Kudlow has been wrong on everything that he has ever predicted.
Ever. Only if it has something to do with finances. But anyways, here is what Miller
Isn't
said.
he a specialist in finance? But anyways,
here's my theory. And I'm being completely forthright when I say this. I believe that Joe Biden is controlled by his staff and his aides, and not just senior staff. I think mid-level aides in the White House. You know, the recent incident that people make a great deal of fun about. Well, they should have, where Joe Biden said, "Let's go, Brandon," during Christmas, to me reveals something much more insidious, which is that he doesn't know about the "Let's go, Brandon" meme because he doesn't consume any of his own information. He's completely sheltered and controlled by his staff. That Jen Psaki, she seems quite controlling. So anyways, this is the theory, but there's more. Miller said that Biden's recent actions compared unfavorably to Donald Trump's presidency. Oh, do tell more. Trump would bring us into the Oval and say, "I read this report. I read this report. I read this report. I saw this. I saw this. I saw this. I want a reaction. I want analysis." It's completely the opposite of Biden, according to, the known probable Nazi, allegedly, Miller. He's totally shaped and controlled by his staff and has no input but what they give him. So they see him, and his own staff sees him as a vessel to implement these AOC-style soft on crime, no borders, massive taxation, massive welfare, no American energy policies. He's their vessel, and we're all suffering as a result. I feel the pain. I feel this pain. Dude, I'm embracing it. Let's go, Brandon. Like a cheer. Let's go, Brandon. And if we steal the meaning away, well, what will the trolls do? What will George do?
come up with some other stupid, not settled, dumb thing again.
And maybe we'll steal that one from him as well. Come back. It's a Merry Monday edition when you join us. 844-967-2789. Devils.
We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house.
Go, Brandon. I agree.
Yes! F you too! But other than that, I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas.
The COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. Now is the time to get informed. Get the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
President Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates. He would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
Managing today's uncertainty can be overwhelming. Focus on what you can control, even if it's little things like your before bedtime ritual.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Hi, Don from Wisco Home Goods here. Jeremy and I handcraft our 100% non-toxic candles from locally sourced materials in our Madison, Wisconsin facility. Wisco Home Goods candles come in a variety of unique blends and scents that you're sure to love. Add a little warmth to your home as the days get colder with one of our Midnight Cypress or Up North candles. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing candles and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
You're listening to the radio show your mother warned you about, The Devil's Advocates.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. I am back from Vegas, baby. Got the family home safe before the airlines all started shutting down their flights. Apparently, Omicron is killing them, killing the airline industry right now. Lots of canceled flights. We came back on Christmas Eve night. It was a late night. We didn't get back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, about 75 minutes from our house till like midnight. And then we had to drive at that point. And I wanted to tell you a couple of stories about my little Vegas trip. First and foremost, I appeared on the Foxy News. We got some sound of that, and we'll play it in just a minute. But I also, I always like to meet some people. I went back to the bar where Dominic and I broadcast, the little Mexican joint. February of 2019, I think we were out there in Vegas. Yep. No, 2020. That was our 2020 Vegas trip. I was also in Vegas in April of 19. Me and the wife went out to the Grand Canyon. That was the last time I took any sort of a pleasurable trip of any sort. Shorter trip. But me and Dom broadcast from the presidential debate in Vegas. Let's not forget that was early in the primaries. Bernie won Nevada. But we went to a little bar across from the Flamingo Chavas or something of that sort. I even texted Dom over the weekend. I said, remember this joint? The pretty Latina bartender claims she remembered us, but, trying to earn tips.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, the radio guys.
Yeah. Go back. Hey, do you guys remember any of those people?
Probably more likely the latter. But anyways, I saw that big thing. And I went to the old Fremont part, the old part of Vegas, not because I wanted to, but because my wife wanted our teenage boys to see all the seedier parts of Vegas, apparently. Get them all in, check all the boxes. So we did. And down, where they do the what is that? The line, the zip lines. And my kids did a different zip line, but the Fremont, the old part of town zip line. And underneath there's this, let's call him a bum, a panhandler. And he had a big F Joe Biden sign. And he had a few sentiments on this sign. And apparently he was using the sign, something of a fundraiser. If you're supportive of the messaging, apparently you were supposed to share a couple bucks with the guy. Joe Biden is as trustworthy as a hooker with an itchy crotch and a runny nose. That was one of the sentiments he put out there.
Okay.
Here was another one. Quick COVID test. Stick a finger up your butt as deep as it'll go. And if you can smell it, then you're negative. But if you can't smell your finger, then you're positive. Poor man's COVID test. Ha ha ha.
Still going to be broke from having it anyway.
And so anyway, some young, some young Trumpster comes by and was giggling up and whatever. And he held up the "Let's Go Brandon" sign, of course. And the guy laughed one more time and he, and then he flipped it over and he said, "Only Democrats don't tip." I must admit, I did not give him any of my loose dollars, mostly because they all remain.
But that's not
Vegas.
tipping. That's not tipping. Please separate the two things.
You don't think it's a skill to come up with that COVID test just on the fly like that?
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it tipping. And I don't know if it was on the fly.
The sting palm test?
I mean, sting palm or whatever. It's more for giving to people. That's a spreading of things.
Here's the scariest part about Vegas. And it wasn't the panhandlers or the dancing girls that two of whom actually took a picture with my 15-year-old. He's not a good tipper. Thankfully, my wife swooped in with additional tips before the young man got himself rolled in an alley for not tipping properly.
Well, at least he now can officially say, "I've got a girlfriend in Vegas." You wouldn't know her, but she's from Vegas and I have a girlfriend.
I thought
doesn't have one now.
I thought the young man had a girlfriend back here in the state.
I don't know. I don't want to assume, but I'm just saying.
But the scariest part if my family did not come back from Vegas with COVID, it's through some minor miracle, through a Christmas miracle. Because I'm telling you, man, Vegas was crowded, and every trip up on the elevator, and I probably had 50 trips. I mean, this was like the Baton Death March of vacations. My wife likes to make me walk, sort of for fun and sport. I mean, miles and miles of walking. One day, 25,000 steps, dude. One day. That wasn't like when we went off to the mountains and went actually hiking. That was just on the on the Las Vegas trip. 25,000 steps. So at least I try to stay outside and keep myself healthy. I'll let you know if I have any symptoms. But I was on an elevator with a guy, and the guy forgot his mask. And, we're riding down to the casino. And I said, well, here's the good news. You can get another mask in the casino. And the bad news is we're all coming back from Vegas with COVID. Or at least that would be what I suspect. I mean, when you look at the numbers, man, I don't know how any of us avoid getting the COVID.
Well, the best part is you don't have to wait till it's not right now. It'll happen at least in 2 weeks when we have a big surge and everyone's like, why do we have a big surge? I don't know.
We are basically, I'm in this little bubble with you, but we're basically quarantined. We didn't do the big Christmas deal. I don't think we're doing a New Year's Eve deal. If the whole family came back and no one tests positive, our daughter was not able to join us in Vegas or at Zion National Park because she's positive with COVID. So that part of the trip was abbreviated. No daughter. I was looking forward to that most. It certainly wasn't the trip to the Strip. Been there, done that a couple times. Yeah.
It is a good place to catch a lot of things.
I told my wife I'd go back hiking through the mountains anytime. That was an amazing thing. Zion National Park, man, that was impressive. More than I could have possibly expected. Beyond the mind's comprehension. These freaking mountains, they shoot out of the ground. But Vegas, as seedy as it's ever been. And now with extra COVID, or at least that was my impression. So, I'll try to stay on my side of the room over here, Fancy Brian. I'll let you know if the nose gets sniffly or anything.
Thanks.
I don't think I'm running a temperature. Come back. I'll tell you about my appearance on Foxy News and more headlines right here on the Devil's Advocates.
Why don't you give me half the money you were going to bet? Then we'll go out back, I'll kick you in the nuts, and we'll call it a day.
Stay informed with progressive news and talk on Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM, Dane County's choice for essential radio.
Hi, this is Brad from Zero Res. If you need someone to help with your carpet cleaning, business or residence, please give us a call. We have the best system available and an amazing team of friendly technicians. Call us at 848-9000 or schedule online at zeroresmadison.com.
Hey, I'm here from Knuckleheads. Have you seen our new location yet? Come on down to 520 State Street for all your CBD needs. We have a huge selection of gummies, oils, and a variety of other CBD products. We also have a gigantic walk-in humidor. The knowledgeable staff at Knuckleheads will work with you to find exactly what you need. Mention Devil Radio at checkout to get 15% off your next order. Knuckleheads, now at 520 State Street. We'll see you there.
Stream progressive news and talk 24/7, as well as download exclusive podcasts and interviews at devilradio927.com. That's devilradio927.com.
Update. I'm Ed Donahue with an AP News Minute. Stocks finished higher. The Dow up 351 points. With the Omicron variant spreading, President Biden is telling the nation's governors,
if you need something, say something. And we're going to have your back in any way we can.
At the White House, the president said the message about the variant has not changed.
Omicron is a source of concern, but it should not be a source of panic.
For those who are vaccinated, he says they are protected against serious illness. It's the unvaccinated he's worried about. As far as preparation is concerned, the president says this is not like in 2020.
We're prepared and we know what it takes to save lives, protect people, and keep schools and businesses open. We just have to stay focused and continue to work together.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says to get more people vaccinated, the nation should consider a vaccination mandate for domestic air travel. I'm Ed Donahue.
So the sales right now at Kohl's, I mean, you won't want to miss these deals. I got 60% off holiday decor, so I'm set for next year. Fleece for under $20 and 60% off bedding. Even better, I used the Kohl's cash I earned from my holiday shopping, got an extra 20% off, and earned even more Kohl's cash. Who's ready to ring in the savings? Select styles ends January 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. As the state of Wisconsin is approaching 10,000 COVID-19 deaths, Governor Tony Evers indicated Wisconsin will continue to need federal resources to address the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically in regards to staffing assistance for the state's overwhelmed healthcare system. Earlier this month, Governor Evers announced FEMA will be deploying a 20-member team of U.S. Navy service members to the Green Bay area due to the surge of COVID-19 patients. This week, Advocate Aurora Health, one of the state's largest healthcare operators, took out full-page ads in multiple Wisconsin newspapers, asking the public to assist in curbing the COVID-19 pandemic. The ad said COVID-19 hospitalizations have tripled in the past several weeks, and 90% of Advocate Aurora Health COVID-19 patients are unvaccinated. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
The Devil's Advocates know how to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and we're all out of bubblegum.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, a Merry Monday edition. We're live, I assure you. We're doing it live. The Monday after Christmas. You know, there's still some headlines to be had this week, some digesting, some, crudifying right here on the radio. You can be a part, 844-967-2789. We've got Dr. Harvey K. co-deviling in the 4 o'clock Central Time happy hour. So looking forward to Harvey coming soon. But since the last time I did this radio show with you, Fancy Brian, I went on the Fox News. Third time I've been. Third time's a charm.
Congratulations.
And I'm 2 hours delayed. I wasn't doing this from home. And normally they just park you in a local studio. And you go down to the local TV station. They, connect you. But out in Las Vegas, I didn't know what they were going to do. I said, well, I'm okay with coming on. And just so I'm clear, they don't pay me appearance fees. It's, pro bono work, if you will. But being a media whore and all that kind of stuff, I said, sure, I'll come on. But you got to give me a car and you got to give me a studio in Vegas because I'm going on vacation. And so anyways, the lady's like, well, do you really need a car? It's just right down the block. I'm like, well, but it's not my home turf. I'd prefer a car. And she said, yeah, but you don't need a car. You can walk there. It's pretty close. Here's what I didn't know until I got to Vegas, Fancy Brian. Pretty close was across 2 highways. So the strip is backed by, Highway 15.
You had to figure out how to cross 2 big highways.
Well, even Tropicana Avenue, there's a reason they have all those pedestrian walkways in Vegas to get you over the highly trafficked area.
Oh, so you're doing stairs as well now.
But dude, the day I did 25,000 steps, maybe it was the next day, 102 floors. 102 floors. I climbed up Mount Zion, or at least one of the mini mountains there, but whatever. Now I'm complaining about my, 1.5 mile walk down to the Fox News place. Seemed like way too far to go. So I had to get a cab. So I'm out like $15 right now. Fox News, I'm looking for my $15. But anyways, I show up at the studio and it's a little private place. Guy, very nice, felt well treated by the staff there. But I realized, I mean, it's off Dean Martin Boulevard, which I got to know a little bit because we got a rental car, drove around Vegas a bit. But I'm telling you, man, there was no way I was getting a cab back. You know, I would have had to basically walk back across a couple of highways. And the camera guy gave me a ride. He's like, he took mercy on me. And, you know, it's not like I'm wearing a suit, you know, at like 9 o'clock in the morning in Las Vegas, wearing a suit, like I'm doing the walk of shame coming home from the drinking last night. And I've got to cross 2 highways. And I mean, literally, there are people, I watched people walk across the 50, 60, 70 mile per hour highways. Like they crossed traffic. I don't do that.
That's
like the
gambling.
Beltline in Madison.
That's real gambling there. I'd put a sports book on that end right there. That's an unofficial thing. Like throw up. That's with chalk. That's like stuff the Running Man does.
So, anyways, you know, just feeling happy to be alive, just to get to the Fox News interview, and somewhere over the course of the morning, and I was still sleeping in on Vegas time and all that kind of stuff. And apparently, Joe Manchin had gone on the Foxy News Sunday, now hosted by Brett Baer. At least it was that Sunday. And said, I'm killing the Build Back Better. So they tell me, let's talk about Build Back Better. Mike Emanuel's the host of this Foxy News show I'm going on. I'm like, all right, man, there ain't one, but sure, I got plenty to say. Like, Merry Christmas to everyone except you, Joe Manchin.
Pretty much.
And they get me on and they start asking me about smash and grab crime.
Oh, kind of like they asked you on for the other thing, and they asked you about the imminent immigrant.
Yeah, why the border crisis, and why is it my and Joe Biden's fault?
Oh,
so they've got me on, and I can't even see the host. I didn't even see the preview video. I'm staring at a blank void in studio lights, and they've got like a little X where I'm supposed to look at where the camera is. But they don't even have monitors. I can't even see the host or what they've played to lead into me.
Oh, so you're in limbo, right?
Total darkness. And they lead me in with smash and grab crimes. And this is how I reacted with very little notice and a little bit of a Vegas hangover, I got to admit. Early last Sunday morning, Crudy on Foxy News, Cut 5.
Well, of course, no one likes crime. I don't think that anyone is for crime. And, we see a rise in certain types of crime, like murders and car thefts. I would say that overall violent crime is down statistically, but obviously these very heinous crimes, they're up. And, of course, be it the left, be it the right, we should all be concerned about the prospect of crime. The question is, what do we do about it? Mm-hmm. And I don't like the term defund the police. I think we should demilitarize the police. We should stop putting so many militaristic resources behind local police departments. But ultimately, nobody is pro-crime.
That's how they wanted to frame me. Crudy, why are you pro-crime? Why are you in the left all for smash and grab crime? I mean, that they brought me on to be the pinata, right? Okay, I'm not pro-crime. Let's start from that premise. Here's a little more Crudy on the Foxy News with Mike Emanuel. And also, they didn't tell me there'd be a co-panelist. And this guy's a former Republican congressman, Bob Barr. I don't know if we have any of Bob's.
Might be the whitest person I've seen in a long time.
Bob is quite white. Very Republican. Very Foxy friendly, although translucent nearly. A little bit more Crudy on the Fox News. I'm agreeing with very white Bob. Cut 6.
I don't know that Joe Biden specifically can turn this particular issue around
Smash
in
and
and of
grab.
itself.
Why
There's
should he?
no executive order. There's no magic wand that Joe Biden has to change the prospect of smash and grab crime. However, I agree with Bob. I think this is really more of a problem, this specific type of crime. That's a problem of corporate America. And certainly they should be working in conjunction with local law enforcement. But if I owned a store and it was getting robbed, it's my job to put protection in my store, in my shop.
How dare I? That's not the narrative they were going with. So one more crack at why is this all, your problem, Crudy? And I thought we were talking about Build Back Better that morning, but Apparently smash and grab. Why is it Joe Biden's fault? Why didn't the president solve this problem for department stores? Well, I asked, what about these other crimes, like the ones on January 6th? And that's pretty much where the interview kind of wrapped up, Fancy Brian. Let's play it for the folks. One more Crudy on Foxy News, cut 7.
So, ultimately, this is a problem, no doubt, but it is a problem in just certain jurisdictions like San Francisco. We haven't seen this sort of crime where I'm from, not with any sort of frequency. So certainly I don't think we should be making national policy predicated on a few smash and grabs at specific stores. Now, Joe Biden, crime is certainly an issue. I think that we look at these sort of crimes that, are being accentuated on this program, but I also look at, what your colleague, Geraldo Rivera said the other day. We had some very substantial crimes at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th.
All right.
I think there are other types of crimes.
Cut this guy off. Shut him down.
Now, it's horrible when you bring up things that I wasn't prepared for.
And that was the end of the interview. They shut me down when I started breaking up the Capitol 6 insurrection. Then Crudy, less important at that point. I should have fought for my topic a little bit more. I couldn't tell if the interview was really done or if they just decided, this guy's crossing a line, making us look bad in our support of the insurrection.
Well, they want to talk about the only crime that they care about at that moment and not actually principle.
The war on Christmas.
And that's why of course, it's a very hard war on Christmas. Oh my goodness. We were all shut down because of the shipping. How did anybody ever get through Christmas right now?
Do you see that Christmas spending way up? Way up.
Oh, yeah.
It was quite a very terrific Christmas for retailers, up about 8.5%.
To which I'd like to say thank you, Joe Biden. I'm pretty sure that child tax credit really helped with that holiday spending, just to throw it out.
Put it a different way. Let's go, Brandon.
I like it. Let's go, Brandon.
Ruth Marcus over at the Washington Post, and you could be a part of this show. Join me before I am joined by Dr. Harvey K in the 4 o'clock hour, 844-967-2789. Opinion, a little opinion piece. Here's the headline. The Let's Go Brandon Oregonian, the guy we talked about, his name's Jared Schmack, something of that sort, a New York judge, and the true meaning of Christmas. No, the First Amendment. Let me read here. This is the time of year for talk about the true meaning of Christmas. This year, it seems we need to talk a bit about the true meaning of the First Amendment as well. 2 otherwise unconnected Christmas week episodes bring freedom of speech to the forefront. First, an Oregon man, Jared Schmack, who insulted President Biden on a Christmas call with the president and then complained that he was being attacked for exercising my God-given right to express my frustrations in a joking manner. Next, the New York State Judge, Charles D. Wood, who not only kept in place his blatantly unlawful prior restraint against the New York Times for publishing documents obtained from Project Veritas, but also ordered the newspaper to turn over physical copies and destroy any electronic versions of the material. It sounds a lot like, the John Doe in the state of Wisconsin, and burn all the evidence. Let me exercise my constitutional given right to express my frustrations, Ruth Marcus writes, to suggest that neither individual understands the first thing about the First Amendment. Schmack has every legal right, as he says, to be rude to the president while he and his first lady were answering calls to NORAD's Santa Tracking Center. Schmack ended the call with Merry Christmas and Let's Go Brandon, then insisted he meant no disrespect by the obviously disrespectful phrase whose meaning no longer requires clarification. And clarified, you know what it means, F. Joe Biden. Here we get to the meaning of the First Amendment. It means that here, unlike in authoritarian countries, Schmack not only has the right to say what he wants to the president, he also can say it directly to him without fear of being jailed, being fined, or being punished by the government in any way. That's what the First Amendment's right? That's what it means. As Ruth Marcus writes, his freedom of speech is near absolute, just like that of the person who burns an American flag or wears a jacket emblazoned with F the draft into a courthouse. No one can punish him, not in America. In parenthetical, she writes, at least not yet. See, for example, Donald Trump's threat to open up our libel laws. but it's also fair game for others to criticize Schmack for what he said. I'm being attacked for utilizing my freedom of speech, Schmack complained. Utilizing his freedom of speech, wrong. He is being attacked for being out of line. And while incivility is constitutionally protected, it is not immune from public criticism. As Justice Louis Brandeis once wrote in a famous dissent, the remedy to be applied is more speech, not enforced silence. Marcus writes, enforced silence brings us even more dangerous and even more ignorant event of the past week. Wood's order against the time. The law here could not be clearer. Nothing is more repugnant to the First Amendment than telling a news organization what it can and cannot publish, or say on the radio for that matter. The Supreme Court underscored that principle in the 1971 Pentagon Papers case, New York Times v. United States, in which the government sought to prevent the Times and the Post from preventing classified documents. Those disclosures may have a serious impact, Justice Hugo Black wrote in rejecting that effort, but there is no basis for sanctioning a previous restraint on the press. Now comes Justice Wood, who it's safe to say is no Justice Black. His ruling came in the libel suit against the Times by Project Veritas, the conservative group that runs sting operations to expose alleged liberal bias in various institutions. Well, here's the deal. We'll come back to this. Ruth Marcus is talking about the ruling of the court and the fact that they're basically saying destroy all the evidence. And Project Veritas, who, uses quite unscrupulous methods, well, they publish stuff like this all the time, and they are protected by what's it called? Oh, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Get used to it. Come back with us. Join us on the phones. Use your First Amendment rights. Sort of. We lightly screen here. 844-967-2789. Join the Monday merriness.
You are a rude, terrible person.
Dad, I picked up your pills, made your lunch, and your laundry is done.
When you care for a loved one, you take care of everything. But are you taking care of yourself? Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Spruce up your home with non-toxic vegan candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents that make a perfect holiday gift. Plus, at Wisco Home Goods, we believe in giving back. With our Do Good, Smell Good campaign, a portion of the proceeds go to local charities. So support a Midwestern company that supports our local communities. Order now at wiscohomegoods.com.
Social media? You've kept up with the times. If you can do that, you can definitely save for retirement. Go to aceyourretirement.org and in just 3 minutes, you'll get free tips to help boost your retirement savings. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstead of the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I'm excited to announce our new beer, AOC IPA. This IPA pays homage to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a champion of the progressive movement. AOC IPA is now available in stores throughout Wisconsin. Check our website, MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, to see which stores in your area are carrying it.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Your input always welcome here, even conservatives. 844-967-2789. We barely screen them, but it ain't the First Amendment. We still have the right to refuse service to anyone, and I mean especially you, George. So welcome if you or not named George. 844-967-2789. I don't think Republicans quite understand the whole theory of a free press and a First Amendment. We may come back to this Ruth Marcus opinion piece at the Washington Post, but another intriguing headline. Rudy Giuliani attacks fascist Fox News for not inviting him on. They seem frightened of George Soros.
What?
Well, they're
Are you kidding? And he brought up
afraid of George
Soros.
Soros.
He brought up what a loser. That's the I have scraped the bottom of the barrel of all the excuses and whining and crap that I have on the right wing, and now all I have left is complaining about George Soros. That's so sad.
Former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani on Monday attacked Fox News. Foxy News. I just appeared on, that
they're getting more liberal by the second.
Finish station. Attacked Fox News for no longer inviting him on their programs. So literally, Rudy has appeared more recently than Rudy Giuliani on Fox News. While appearing on Real America's Voice, the former New York mayor said that Fox News was ungrateful to him for support he'd given them throughout the years and said it was wrong. He was no longer part of, a regular on the network. They forget their friends pretty damn fast, Giuliani charged.
You thought they were your friends.
The thing I resent most is they won't tell me why. I'm not being told why I'm not being allowed on.
These people complain about the Kardashians, don't they? Anyway.
A little bit more here. In fact, Fox News reportedly stopped having Giuliani on because his false statements about Dominion voting systems were leaving them liable in defamation lawsuits. 1.6 billion and counting. That meter's running, Rudy. You chipping in on that one? A little bit more. I don't know. They seem very frightened of George Soros. Because I've seen other people interrupted and basically taken off because of George Soros.
No, because they brought up the January 6th thing. That's when they get cut off Fox News.
That will get you cut off, apparently, at least on the Sunday programs. But it leaves me kind of in a quandary about why they're playing the fascist game. 844-967-2 what is our number? 967-2789. My brain hasn't left Las Vegas yet. Ken Bob, my favorite Ken Bob from Dalyville. Welcome back. What do you got for us?
Hey, well, I give you a lot of credit for bringing up January 6th. I think that there is some there. Country C, but mass riot, mass action, defying the rule of law, pushing the cops around like they were just nothing, and large part getting away with it. And then half of our authority figures are saying, "Oh well, they're being treated too bad. Oh man, oh they're patriots." How many other people are going to say, "Well, yeah, sure, I ripped off Lowe's and everything, but I didn't smear feces on the wall of the Capitol." I just think we've got some Rubicon there.
Well, at least, Ken Bob, how do you respond to that precisely, man? I appreciate your call. I'm going to sneak a few more in here this hour. 844-967-2789. Tom from Madison. Tom, was it your birthday, man? Happy birthday.
Hey, thanks a lot. Yeah, it was yesterday, the day after Christmas. And when I was growing up, my grandmother's birthday was the day before. So I grew up thinking that Christmas was a 3-day weekend. It was pretty awesome.
My brother is a Christmas baby, and I called him on Christmas and said, this calls for both Christmas and your birthday.
Yeah, there was a cartoon on the web, the wise men coming to Jesus and saying, "Okay, now don't forget, this is for your birthday and for Christmas."
I've seen that one. Clever. Tom, any political thoughts, man? A little bit short on time. Don't mean to be brusque with you.
Listen, first of all, kudos for the job you did on Fox News. That was great. Making them cut you off is a pretty good accomplishment. But I'm really so sick of the whining of the right-wing snowflakes when it comes to free speech. There is free speech, but there's no freedom from consequences. When you say these things, they seem to be trapped in a middle school child kind of kind of world where they think they can do everything they want, and then they're surprised when there's consequences. And it's just sad. But hey, congrats, man. It was a really good show on Fox.
Thanks, Tom. Luckily I made it back to the hotel. Could be laying in the middle of I-15 right now. I will not go back on Fox News without a car. I make you that pledge. One more, at least this segment, 844-967-2789. Mark from the SAC, welcome back. What do you got for us?
Yeah, you always leave me short in terms of time. You should ask Bob Barr about has he cheated on his current wife, because he was one of the ones who was going after Clinton that was, busily having.
Mark, maybe I would have had some of that, Oppo research had I even known I was on a panel with Bob Barr. When you don't even know who you're on with, it's hard to cast aspersions about whether or not the guy cheated on a wife or two.
Yeah, and it's sad that they whine about cancel culture, but then they cancel culture you when you tried to bring up something actual to talk about rather than asking you about snatch and grab crime, which has been going on forever. But the media just seems to, well, let's talk about this now, and it's a crime that's been going on in the past, and it's going to go on in the future, and it's so probably no worse now than it was back some years ago.
Well, it's just a different tactic of organized crime. The snatch and grab.
Yeah.
I mean, it really has affected a handful of cities, and it is not a problem that should reach the desk of the president of the United States. And the fact that Fox News is wasting time on it on a Sunday is only just so they can beat the crap out of Biden.
Yeah, and then beat the crap out of poor Crudy, who was one of the one of the sole Wisconsin voices on the radio media that's talking up to him. I mean, that we just have your station, that's it. I mean, pretty much, and it's just ridiculous that Fox News is they're cowardly. I mean, talk about real issues. If you're Fox News and you're brave and want to talk about the news, then talk about actual news rather than the crap they tried to talk about and sabotage you and ambush you with this crap. I mean,
Mark, no doubt. And, the fact that Joe Manchin had gone on with Brett Baier earlier that Sunday, I mean, there was plenty to talk about. The death of the Build Back Better, or at least the death of the current incarnation of the Build Back Better. Well, that's an important subject. And that affects a lot of Americans. But smash and crash, whatever, crime? No, not really. It's just something to cast aspersions at the current president on. What about the crimes of the former president? He's the biggest criminal in this nation. Come back. A fine co-devil. Harvey K. Hour 2 is next.
What has happened to us? What has happened to us? If you're living a life that's a lie,
right?
If you're not honest, it's a character issue.
Hi, it's Rudy Giuliani, and I'm on Cameo.
At Chad's Design Build, our tagline is building a better world, one remodeled home at a time. Simply stated, we want to be a part of the solution to leave the world better than we found it. That's why we've invested in a 20 kilowatt solar array, which provides over 90% of our electrical demand at our shop, office, and design studio. And that's why we invest in local causes which provide opportunities and which confront structural inequality. At Chad's Design Build, we are proud to partner with you, building a better world, one remodeled home at a time.
Gifting season is upon us, and here's an opportunity to spread the holiday joy. Ethical Trading Company is fighting to end human trafficking in the poorest areas of the world by providing a marketplace for artisans who've been freed from modern-day slavery or avoid being trafficked through this partnership. As a volunteer-ran nonprofit, every dollar spent in our physical or online store makes an impact in ridding the world of exploitation and in the lives of our artisans to perform dignified work. Check out our wide range of fair trade gifts by going to ethicaltradecode.com. Again, that's ethicaltradecode.com.
You are listening to WTTN 1580 AM Columbus, W224 EG Madison, always streaming on the Devil Radio app.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. There are new coronavirus guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Isolation time goes from 10 days to 5 days. 5 days is also the time people in close contact need to quarantine. The CDC says the guidance is in keeping with growing evidence that people with the coronavirus are most infectious in the 2 days before and 3 days after symptoms develop. Before leaving the White House for Delaware, President Biden had a virtual meeting about the coronavirus with the nation's governors.
If you need something, say something. And we're going to have your back in any way we can.
The president said it's not a time to panic and repeated the Omicron variant is a bigger risk for people who are unvaccinated. One area that needs improving, according to the president, is access to at-home testing.
We have to do more. We have to do better. And we will.
The variant could be a factor in New Year's Eve plans. In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul says skip the party if you don't feel well.
If you're sniffling, if you're not feeling good, just stay home, watch the ball drop on television, get a nice glass of champagne, and know that you're doing the smart thing.
Virus-related flight cancellations have stretched into today. They're measuring the totals in feet. Blowing snow in mountains of Northern California and Nevada closed some key highways. Dustin Norman is at the National Weather Service.
Definitely great for the snowpack. We need all the snow we can get. Sometimes receiving it all at once can cause issues.
The police chief in Los Angeles is pledging to release video of a shooting last week where a 14-year-old girl was killed when officers fired on an assault suspect and the bullet went through the wall and struck the girl as she was in a clothing store dressing room. Police also fatally shot the suspect in North Hollywood. Big gains on Wall Street today, led by tech stocks. The Dow finished up 351 points. This is AP News.
So the sales right now at Kohl's, I mean, you won't want to miss these deals. I got 60% off holiday decor, so I'm set for next year. Fleece for under $20 and 60% off bedding. Even better, I used the Kohl's cash I earned from my holiday shopping, got an extra 20% off, and earned even more Kohl's cash. Who's ready to ring in the savings? Select styles ends January 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job.
You hear me?
So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know what? I'll tell you something. There's nothing better than a hot sausage, couple 2-3 cold beers, and double radio on the box.
Pat Slattery here of Slattery's Automotive Service. Winter's coming, and that means now's the time for you to start thinking about snow tires. Travel winter roads with ease on Hakkapeliitta snow tires. Hakkapeliitta is the top-of-the-line snow tire, made in Finland and eco-friendly. If it's snowing, they'll get you there. Give me a call at 608-848-6123 to get yours set. Slattery's Automotive Service, your trusted choice for local service and
Hi, dilly ho there, Professor.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can indeed. You sound
Perfect.
great. You're looking great. Everything is glorious.
Thanks.
It's also your
The world is a better place now. Thank you.
shopping this giving season, whether it's for family, friends, neighbors,
Yeah.
or gift exchanges, or for yourself. Knuckleheads has the perfect stocking stuffer.
You get about 2 minutes before we start.
Wallet. There's
Hey.
buy one, get one, 25% off. All CBD and Wellness Plus. Buy 2 cigars, get the third free. 25% off apparel, and so much more. And get a free stocking stuffer with any purchase over $50. Knuckleheads. 520
Ryan, can you hear me now?
Madison.
Wisconsin. You know that Drew Holiday and Brooke Lopez are champions on the court, but did you know they're also champions for our community?
Hey, Wisconsinites. Drew Holiday here.
And Brooke Lopez here.
I love being a champion.
And today I'm asking you to be a champion citizen.
Defend your right to vote and exercise your freedom to vote.
It's more important now than ever because politicians are trying to restrict our freedom to vote.
They're worried about our power, so they want to take it away.
Don't let them do that.
You've got to block that shot.
Paid for by the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign.
Unlike the legislative Republicans, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM are working through the pandemic to keep you informed. Streaming 24/7 at DARNWI.com.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. On Friday, the state of Wisconsin reported 4,173 new cases of COVID-19 across the state ahead of the holiday weekend, with 29 new COVID-19 deaths for a total of 9,915 COVID-19 deaths in Wisconsin. As of last Friday, the state had a 7-day average of 37 COVID-19 deaths per day, putting the state on track to exceed 10,000 deaths before the end of the year and have the state of Wisconsin record 1,000 COVID-19 deaths in the month of December alone. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services is reporting 61.7% of eligible Wisconsinites have received at least one dose of COVID-19 vaccine, with 8.5 million COVID-19 vaccinations administered. Foggy skies this morning will lead to partly cloudy skies throughout the afternoon. Winds expected to get up to 20 miles an hour and a high today of 40 degrees. Cloudy skies expected to roll in this evening with an overnight low of 20 degrees. You're listening to Devil Radio.
Devil Radio programming is produced live in the Solidarity Realty Studios. Find them at solidarityrealty.com. Solidarity Realty. There is an alternative.
Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves and corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. 3, 2, 1. Now live from the Devil Radio Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Here is your host, Mike Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of a Merry Monday edition of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. And it gets better from here to the end, because I'm joined by a fine co-devil. For the 4 o'clock hour, he's Dr. Harvey K., a professor emeritus from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Harvey, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Welcome back to the big show.
Indeed, and let's hope for a very happy new year. We got a lot to talk about today, even though it's the holiday season. Starting off with the Green Bay Packers. They continue to win, though one has to say Saturday's victory was pretty mediocre and lucky to have survived.
You know, I was out in Vegas, and I am so glad I didn't find the sports book until after the Packer kickoff. I'd have been tempted, I'd have had a bet on the home team, and the Packers, while they keep winning, they don't cover.
No,
not doing as well against the odds. And I would have lost both those bets, Harvey, but Super Bowl or bust.
So you were in Las Vegas for Christmas.
Just got back night before Christmas.
Wow.
So yeah. I took the fam, not my bright idea, but I went along and paid for a lot of it and had a good time.
Good. That's
also
great.
Had the opportunity to hike in the mountains, Zion National Park. That was the appeal for Dad.
Very nice. Very nice. I was in New York a week and a half ago for a week. And in fact, it was just a week ago today that I came back. Unfortunately, a day after I arrived, we were having a great time. I came down with a pretty bad cold, which I thought might be COVID.
Yes, sir.
So went to get a test, and a serious test, they're all serious, but a test. And then they said, well, we may not be able to give you the results till the Friday. That was on a Wednesday when I took the test. So I thought, oh no. So we got lucky and we found one at-home test in one of the sort of corner Walgreens, CVS, Duane Reade, as they say in New York, places. We took that and I was negative. I thought, okay, but my cold persists even now. So if along the way, if anyone hears me cough or, well, not sneeze, it's not that bad necessarily, I apologize ahead of time.
Harvey, I've got a daughter now with COVID. She doesn't live in the household, but she was supposed to meet us. She's in LA and apparently had spent some time in New York recently herself and suspect she might have gotten COVID in New York.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Harvey, after spending about 6 days in Vegas, I'd be shocked if my whole family doesn't have COVID. Many people so close together, and I'm just looking at it and thinking, there's no way I'm not being exposed to Omicron.
Oh yeah. Well, my daughter's fiance in New York came down with it.
Mm.
It was to him, it was just like a cold, fortunately, nothing more. My nephew and his new bride, they only got married this past summer. They're in their mid-20s. They both came down with it, and he's now beyond. I think he tested negative this morning. She still shows positive on the test, but it's spread like wildfire. Absolutely. Just fortunately, it seems like it's not as, in quotes, deadly as the Delta, but it is serious and it spreads very, very easily, apparently.
Well, it's good that it's perhaps not as virulent as the Delta because, the hospital systems currently, they're overwhelmed. I forget what healthcare system here in the state of Wisconsin and Illinois just today, wrote a letter to the editor, effectively said, please help us. You alive. Stop partying, wear a mask and get vaccinated. And it seems like logical common sense at this late hour, 2 years in, Harvey. But, we're moving towards pandemic year 3. And we had 1,000 Wisconsinites die last month of COVID.
Yeah, you can get it, obviously, if you've been vaccinated. But the likelihood is so infinitesimal compared to those who did not get vaccinated. You would think by this time people would just see the reality of this disease, this virus, and get vaccinated, protect themselves for fear. If nothing else, if they survive this one, who knows what the next round might entail. I'm hoping there is no next round, but still.
Sure.
Yeah.
Harvey, I have my booster scheduled tomorrow, and I can guarantee you I wouldn't have gone to Vegas unless the entire family was vaccinated, at least up to as many boosters as we could get.
Yeah.
And, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting one more shot of reassurance. But were you surprised at all? President Donald Trump, in an interview with Bill O'Reilly over the break, said he had been boosted and he got booed by the pro-Trump crowd.
The monster he's unleashed is trying to bite him too, right? I mean, it's just wild. I mean, at first I didn't even think he really had COVID when he claimed he did, that this was all a facade to try to claim, look how strong I am. But I guess he came down with it. They pumped him up with a whole series of things. Look, he's a father and a grandfather. However vile he may come across to the likes of you and me, he must have at least some love and affection for his family. So he got himself vaccinated. And in fact, let's face it, I mean, the vaccination initiative began under him. It was launched to secure the vaccines under him.
Harvey, this ain't about the grandkids. If Trump's boosted as he now claims, it's out of self-love. There's one man he loves himself. That's Harvey K. I love me some Harvey K. Love it when you join us here. I got Harvey Codevil in this entire hour, but you could be a part. 844-967-2789. So
can I just tell you quickly what I did this morning? Because people might be interested since they listen to Devil Radio. A couple of months ago or several weeks ago, I got an invitation from the Democrats Abroad Progressive Caucus to give them a 40-minute talk on FDR, the greatest generation, and the fight for the four freedoms. And these are folks who are located everywhere from, say, Mexico City to Vienna, Austria, and beyond. And I just had a great time talking to these very, very progressive overseas Americans who are seriously concerned about the very same things you and I are concerned about. In fact, it may sound silly, but I said to him, look, if things go really bad, I may join Democrats Abroad but let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Harvey, I know that sounds like a joke. I used to joke on this show. If Trump wins re-election, I'm moving. I'm going overseas. But here in the state of Wisconsin, and you live here and I live here, Scott Walker, the former governor's bad governance, the attack on teachers and public sector unions and people that lived in the city. I mean, he pitted the entire population against each other. And Harvey, I think there were lots of good progressive people that got the hell out, that said, you know what? Why would I want to be under attack? You know what? There are bluer pastures out there in the nation. I'm going to go live in the Sun Belt. I'm going to go live in Arizona, wherever. I mean, hell, Arizona seems blue compared to Wisconsin some days. Harvey, do you think that there has been literal outbound migration of some of the left here in the state of Wisconsin and upper Midwestern states?
I wouldn't know how to measure it, but I definitely know it's true. There were faculty around the state who, in the wake of 2011, definitely sought to move out of Wisconsin. And some of them I knew pretty well. I think they were so astounded. I mean, I know that in our Wisconsin history, we had the likes of no one less than Joe McCarthy. Okay. I know that. So I know what Wisconsin, look, we're not a sainted state, but let's not forget, this is the state that, if any state can claim it, is the birthplace of really capital P progressive politics, with Robert La Follette, his wife, and his kids. I mean, we had a damn good record of progressive politics. And the thing to remember is that progressive politics with a capital P came out of the Republican Party. Why did it come out of the Republican Party? Because people like Robert La Follette Sr. were so outraged by the corruption of the Republican Party and their relationship with railroads and other corporate entities. So my point about this is that we have historically been, Joe McCarthy aside, really a rather progressive state. And when I came to Wisconsin in 1978, I really thought that I had won the political lottery. I was coming to the state that, however mixed it might be politically, the fact was that this was a state that had first granted public employees collective bargaining rights. This was the state whose major institution, the University of Wisconsin, really was in many ways intellectually the birthplace of a whole series of social democratic and progressive initiatives. Faculty at the University of Wisconsin were the ones who envisioned the policies that many of us took off, not many of us saw, but many of us know took off during the 30s and 40s under Roosevelt. I mean, this was, if you like, an incubator of progressive politics. So when Robert, listen to me. So when Scott Walker won the governorship and the Republicans took control of both houses of the legislature and proceeded in the weeks following the handover of power to turn this state into truly, I mean, an embarrassingly right-wing ruled state, there were a lot of people who were just shaken up. I can tell you that I was seriously shaken up because this was not the state that I envisioned myself spending the rest of my life in. Now, on the other hand, I wasn't going to run. Okay. I mean, and I didn't stay merely because of the Packers. Let's make that clear. Okay. But it is the case that the majority of Wisconsinites are fundamentally small p progressive people. And that when I say that, I don't just mean they're nice people, Wisconsin and Minnesota nice. I mean, there's a really great current of political, if you like, leftism that runs through us. And it seems a tragedy as to what we've witnessed.
That's Dr. Harvey K. He's my fine co-devil for this hour. You can be a part of this big show. Join us. Be merry on this Monday, 844-967-2789. We'll be right back. More Devil's Advocates. It's live, I promise.
Holy mackerel, folks. Let's get to work.
To some, a baby's babbling doesn't mean much,
Can you hear me?
but it does. Especially if there's no babbling at all.
Mike, anybody?
Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one
Can
of
you
the
hear me?
possible signs of autism in children. Learn more at autismspeaks.org. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take
What was that, Harvey?
Have either of you seen Don't Look Up
yet? By Joe Biden
Not yet.
Democrats.
Okay,
Ron
you got to
Johnson
see it.
voted against these checks for Wisconsin.
It's a farce that's
Despite
serious.
voting for a 27
I've been told I have to.
put more money into
Yeah.
the pockets of millionaires.
I'll let him know.
It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertisement. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
President
Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election.
Collectively, Republicans got 1.661 million votes, 51,000 more votes than Trump got.
He exhausted his cases. He exhausted the court challenges.
All the Republicans voted for Trump the way they voted for the assembly candidates, and he would have won.
It was not rigged. It was not stolen. Donald Trump lost the election. Joe Biden won the election. It's really clear.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org.
You love them enough to do anything for them.
Dad, can we make 200 cookies for my bake sale tomorrow?
Let's do this. Including checking nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, Don from Wisco Home Goods here. Jeremy and I handcraft our 100% non-toxic candles from locally sourced materials in our Madison, Wisconsin facility. Wisco Home Goods candles come in a variety of unique blends and scents that you're sure to love. Add a little warmth to your home as the days get colder with one of our Midnight Cypress or Up North candles. Order at wiscohomegoods.com. Natural, healthy, nourishing candles and more at wiscohomegoods.com.
When they go low, we get high. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Merry Monday edition. Got a fine co-devil for the entire hour. It is Dr. Harvey K. He is a professor emeritus, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. And Harvey, I understand you want to compare notes on movies that we saw over the holidays. I saw Spider-Man, but I don't think that's the one you're talking about.
Well, but before I say anything else, should I see Spider-Man?
Oh, it was an excellent movie. I saw it on the big screen. And, saw it with the kids out in Vegas, and yeah, we enjoyed it quite a bit.
Is it only available on the big screen?
Right now it is, and I would recommend if you're going to see that one, go watch it on the big screen.
Yeah, I won't. I'm hesitant about going into the movie theaters yet, so I'll have to wait till it shows up on TV.
That's a valid point, but apparently you've been watching a little Netflix over the holidays.
I have what? You know what? I have been watching the Netflix for the past year and a half in like binging mode, marathon mode. Is a year and a half. Boy, time flies. So right now, for example, I am finishing the first series of 2 of Marco Polo on Netflix. Okay, so I'm not recommending that.
Ozark, but to each his own.
No, exactly right. I've seen so many different varieties. I've watched teenage, adolescent series, whatever it takes to get my mind off of politics sometime. However, last night, my wife and I watched, at a lot of people's recommendation, Don't Look Up.
I watched it last night as well, Harvey.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
You did. I don't know what you thought, but I thought it was, at first I thought, oh, this is just crazy. But then I realized that this was a political farce that had, well, let me put it this way. There's a young fellow, a young black sort of radio guy down in Kansas City, radio and podcasting. And he told me I had to see this. And then there's this very, very progressive sort of wealthy guy out in California who in the same night said, you got to see this. So I asked my young friend Hartzell down in Kansas City, just tell me, is this going to be about climate or about fascism? And he said, yes. That's how he put it. Yes. So I realized that this was going to be a political farce that was going to truly try to, that doesn't take much to shake me up these days, that to shake us up as to how we have been not just distracted, but oblivious to what's coming directly at us. And
well, Harvey, without wrecking the movie, what's coming directly at the earth in the particular Netflix movie, Don't Look Up, is a giant planet-killing meteor, a comet.
Right.
And they're out there trying to tell the world, and they're on morning shows like Good Morning America. And the president of the United States is making deals with rich people to somehow repurpose the comet for its trillions in monetary value. And ultimately, there are some that deny the existence of the comet. They reflect the Republican Party, if you will. I mean, literally, the comet's in the night sky. You can see it with your blind eyes. And they're still having rallies. Don't look up. Hence the name of the movie.
Right. But I will tell you, and I hope you agree, that almost every moment in that film would haunt you in light of our current scene, our current situation. In fact, so I tweeted last night and I said this film, as much fun as it was, and was also going to give me nightmares. And I thanked the co-author, the co-writer of the film, David Sirota. So David liked it, retweeted it, and later I found him actually quoting me on a tweet of his own having to do with climate and fascism and that variety of stuff. But seriously, people, see the film. I know there have been some bad reviews of it. Forget the critics. See the film.
Oh, it's got a star-studded cast. Everyone from Jennifer Lawrence to DiCaprio to
Tyler Perry.
Yeah, lots and
right.
Kate Blanchett,
Jonah Hill.
Lots of famous people in that movie. My pal, my co-devil, Harvey K, more famouser every single day. Thank you, Mr. Sirota. Dick from Madison, say hi to Harvey K.
Hello, Professor. I got a question for you.
Sure.
Through work, I got the pleasure of meeting John Wiley, the former chancellor here, casually years back. And, he's from Indiana originally, and he told me he thought it was just the Enlightenment, too, when he came here in the early 60s to Wisconsin. And then you talk about, the La Follette people and the Robert Barons. What made this current Republican Party do absolutely the wrong thing versus what they did back then? I mean, they knew this guy was nuts. Why did they hitch their wagon to this nonsense, this craziness of Trump? It's beyond me to this day how anybody, I can't figure it out, and it scares me.
Okay, well, here's what I think you have to realize. And I definitely agree that Trump is strikingly lunatic-like. I definitely. But here's the thing. If we look back and we remember that in 1980, Ronald Reagan was elected president, in good part because the Democrats were doing such a terrible job of it. Jimmy Carter was just an awful president. Don't shoot me for saying it, but that's the reality. But Ronald Reagan, in fact, he had an administration that was filled with crazies, okay? Absolutely filled with crazies. So the Republican Party was basically hijacked somewhere in the late 1970s by far-right Christian evangelicals, by corporate industrial types who had a deregulation and low tax agenda. I mean, it literally was hijacked. And if you go, and so we should not make too much of the term moderate Republicans. There hasn't been a really moderate Republican probably in about, 40 something years. So Trump is like, you just keep piling it on and it gets crazier and the word crazy, I hesitate to use because it's not just crazy. It's actually dangerous stuff. And the danger is to all of us who are working people. So Trump is kind of like the cherry on top of just a pile of it.
You're starting to sound like Nancy Pelosi. That's Dr. Harvey K. Come back with us. More Devil Advocates, the 4:00 happy hour. Well, it continues.
Can I talk?
Just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
When you're gonna turn on the radio, you gotta listen to Devil Radio 92.7.
Knucklehead CBD and Vapes isn't just Wisconsin's go-to destination for the best deals from Milwaukee to Madison. It's also your one-stop shop to wrap up your holiday shopping this giving season. Whether it's for family, friends, neighbors, work gift exchanges, or for yourself, Knuckleheads has the perfect stocking stuffer and tree treasures for you and your wallet. There's buy one, get one, 25% off all CBD and Wellness Plus. Buy 2 cigars, get the third free, 25% off apparel, and so much more. And get a free stocking stuffer with any purchase over $50. Knuckleheads, 520 State Street in Madison.
Quality CBD is your Madison cannabis experience destination. Different than the head shops, Quality CBD is gallery quality art, ambiance, and a Bella Bar experience that's second to none. Enjoy kombucha and a Bella glass full of vaporized, legal Delta 8 cannabis. Slow down, relax, and enjoy the experience. Only at Quality CBD, 1222 Williamson Street. Come for the Quality CBD, stay for the experience. Quality CBD, 1222 Willie Street.
New guidelines. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention cuts from 10 days to 5 days isolation guidelines for people infected with the coronavirus but show no symptoms after 5 days. They can return to normal activity but must wear a mask everywhere for at least 5 more days. If a person who has the booster is exposed to someone who is infected, they can skip the quarantine but wear a mask for at least 10 days. People who haven't had the booster shots quarantine for 5 days and wear a mask everywhere for at least 5 more days. President Biden, during an online meeting between his coronavirus response team and the National Governors Association, admitted the rush for people to test was chaotic.
Seeing how tough it was for some folks to get a test this weekend shows that we have more work to do, and we're doing it.
Dr. Anthony Fauci tells MSNBC the U.S. should seriously consider a vaccination mandate for domestic travel, calling it another incentive to get more people vaccinated. I'm Tim McGuire.
So the sales right now at Kohl's, I mean, you won't want to miss these deals. I got 60% off holiday decor, so I'm set for next year. Fleece for under $20 and 60% off bedding. Even better, I used the Kohl's cash I earned from my holiday shopping, got an extra 20% off, and earned even more Kohl's cash. Who's ready to ring in the savings? Select styles ends January 2nd. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
For Devil Radio, 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM. I'm Luke Mathers with your headlines. Last week, State Senator Lena Taylor announced she was suspending her campaign for lieutenant governor and told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that she will be filing paperwork to run for the mayor of Milwaukee. The update came after longtime Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett resigned from the position to become the next ambassador to Luxembourg last Wednesday. Milwaukee Common Council President Cavalier Johnson has become the acting mayor, with the election for the next mayor of Milwaukee being set for the spring 2022 ballot. On Saturday, the Green Bay Packers beat the Cleveland Browns 24-22 to advance to 12-3 on the season. During the game, Aaron Rodgers broke several franchise records, passing Brett Favre for the most touchdown passes in Packers history, and Rodgers and wide receiver Devontae Adams also broke the record for most passes for a quarterback-wide receiver duo. You're listening to Devil Radio 92.7 FM and WTTN 1580 AM.
Malarkey. The devil's advocates invented malarkey.
This is like a bowl of doggy do. Put a cherry on top and call it chocolate sundae.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, the Merry Monday edition, 4 o'clock happy hour. It rolls on with my fine guest, Dr. Harvey K. Harvey, it took a little offense to be analogizing you, or at least comparing you to the old cherry on top Nancy Pelosi quote.
It's not like I was offering Jenny's ice cream or anything like that out of my big free.
Let's go, Brandon, back in response.
Look, all I know is that the sooner we can replace Pelosi and Schumer with some true progressives, the better off the Democratic Party will be.
Let me ask you about the current president of the United States. You chastised Jimmy Carter, a great man, terrible president, as you called him. How do you rate the current guy, at least in the current sense?
Okay, so generally speaking, as I rate people, I have a fairly high standard against which on which I judge them. And my thinking is that history is there to garner not directions necessarily, but at least ideas as to about how to govern. And given that he himself, Joe Biden, made it clear in a number of interviews that he wanted to do, or his team did, that they wanted to create an FDR-like administration. All I can say is, based on that, I would probably give him at best a C plus right now. Okay. I was about to say a D, but let's go with a C plus because there's still much to be decided. But there's a part of me that wants to give him an F, but it's too early to do that. And the reason I say that is this. If he wants to be an FDR president, he started off on the right foot with the American Rescue Plan. Okay. I mean, that was fundamental. FDR in the 1930s really had 4 R's. He didn't use these terms necessarily, but I'm using them to describe what I know. So first is relief. And the American Rescue Plan was the relief plan. But FDR then pursued, in many ways, in tandem, these three, recovery, reconstruction, and reform. Now, recovery had to do with priming the economic pump and getting the economy going, putting people to work. Okay. Reconstruction was basically recruiting millions of people into everything from the Civilian Conservation Corps to later the Works Progress Administration and the REA, the Rural Electrification Agency. I mean, they were they weren't just vast public works projects that literally recruited American labor, the labor of unemployed workers. And third, and this is the crucial thing, reforms. And by reforms, what do we mean? Well, first of all, empowering workers with organizing and collective bargaining rights. Second of all, social security. Imagine an America without social security. And in the course of a depression, the do-good agencies, the local city, the churches, the community trusts, they were all going bankrupt. And FDR basically enables the reforms from the federal level. He revolutionized the nature of government. Now, what has Biden done? Well, he has spent the last 8 months talking Build Back Better. Began in Bernie's mind as a $6 trillion project. Then it was reduced to a $3.5 trillion budget initiative. Then all of a sudden, because of a host of, basically pro-corporate Democrats, the two most significant of them, Manchin and Sinema, got it reduced again, right? Down to 1.75, not to mention those so-called, moderate Democrats in the House who are really corporate Democrats. So look, Biden himself has not taken the necessary actions to override his opposition within his own party. And let me explain what that would involve. So during the break, part of the news had to do with Barrett being named ambassador to Luxembourg. Okay. A nice job, right? Well, he should have thought at the beginning, how can I pull out some Republican senators by offering them meaningless ambassadorships, opening the door to a new election. Okay. I mean, there are ways he could have done that, or at least maybe he should have offered Sinema, an ambassadorship to a grape growing, wine producing country. And that way allow another Democrat to arise, or Manchin. I mean, there are ways you can do that. Or there's a more blackmail-like way in which you basically hold over Manchin's head the possibility of having the House investigate the kinds of corruption he may have been involved in. Who knows? Okay. I mean, there are ways you can proceed, but even more importantly, if you're going to be an FDR-like president, you have got to mobilize working people. You have got to engage them, truly engage them. And this administration has engaged no one. And that's the tragedy. And that's why a lot hangs in the balance. A C minus is generous as a grade. And I hate to think that it might go down from here.
Harvey, if I believe Jen Psaki, the communications director for the Biden White House, they've engaged quite a bit, at least with Joe Manchin. And in fact, she was very strong, very harsh in her criticism, said effectively Manchin broke his word.
That's months. They knew this was coming. They waited months before they use that kind of rhetoric. No. It isn't a matter of let's negotiate with Manchin. It's like, let's lay down the law. with Joe Manchin. I'll give you a prime example. Did I ever tell you the story? In 1938, Franklin Roosevelt was fed up with some reactionary Democrats. And he wasn't necessarily going to win what he set out to do, but he wanted to purge the party of some of these reactionaries. And basically, they were Southern Democrats, the white supremacist, segregationist, Jim Crow Democrats. So he went down during the midterm elections. He went down to Georgia and he gave a speech which shocked people. He actually talked about how the South is really preventing America's proper economic recovery, that basically was still sort of a feudal social structure. And he said, if you support this kind of social structure, this feudalism, then you support fascism. And we can't have that. Well, Joe Biden should have called up Bertie, called up AOC and a bunch of others, and gone to West Virginia and said to Joe Manchin, hey, we're going to have a rally in support of Build Back Better, because we know the majority of West Virginians want this to pass. It's a poor state. We know what they need. Joe Manchin, you're welcome to show up with us on the platform. If not, we're going to talk about the danger of having opposition within the Democratic Party and the imperative of moving those people to the left. Did you ever hear that happen? No, Biden didn't do it.
Harvey, was Manchin ever a fair negotiator, to your opinion? Do you think there was ever pacifying Manchin?
No. He went. What seemed to me in public is each step of the way he found a new thing to target. Oh no, I can't do that. I won't do that. No. Okay, now I don't want this one. So the most recent one is the child tax credit, and the audacity of a man as wealthy as he is, worried that the child tax credit might make people feel so entitled that they might spend the money in the wrong. Come on. I mean, give me a break. And that's disgusting on his part. Absolutely disgusting. And so what are we to say to all of that? Okay.
Well, that's an interesting question. Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates. Love to get your opinion. 844-967-2789. Got to find Code Devil. He's Dr. Harvey K., Professor Emeritus, University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. So, Harvey, I always thought Joe Biden was only going to get one bite at the Build Back Better apple, if you will. And I always was concerned that if he took the quote unquote bipartisan plan, if that's fine, if that's all you're going to take, if that's all you need to satisfy and say, I've accomplished something, well, that's all you're going to get. And he did eventually allow the House of Representatives to vote on the small bill. And what do you know, as soon as Sinema and Manchin saw the smaller bill passed and got signed into law, well, they're unsatisfiable on this new, bigger second bite on the apple, if you will, Harvey. So if you only get one bite at the apple, why didn't you negotiate with Manchin and Sinema the first time instead of negotiating with Republicans?
Look, as much as Joe Biden may not impress us, okay, there surely must have been enough people in the Biden team. I call them the Bidenettes these days. There surely must have been some people who realized where they were going to face obstruction, not from the Republicans. That was a given from the start, but where they would face it in their own party. And even before January, 20th, during the, it was the 20th when the inauguration takes place. I always get 20 and 21.
Right around then.
You get that negotiation done ahead of time. And if you see the danger involved, then you start mobilizing then. Look, we all knew that it had to happen in the first 100 days. FDR's famous first 100 days, the most radical first 100 days in American history of a presidential administration. So Biden probably, had dreams of a first 100 days. And it seemed like, as I said before, like things were going to go just like gangbusters, the American Rescue Plan. And it just literally became one of the most lethargic administrations that I remember. I mean, lethargy is the word to use to describe this administration. Lethargy. I think their messaging is awful. I think their strategy is awful. And I have no idea what it means when Joe Biden negotiates with Joe Manchin. You don't negotiate, you lay down the law. Lyndon Johnson was able to twist the arms of Republicans in order to get civil rights through.
Harvey, I perceive myself to be a progressive, a liberal, if you will, but I don't perceive to be amongst the majority of Americans. Do you think on certain issues this is a liberal electorate, if you will, and how do we get the people out of their frames, if you will, Harvey, and get them to consider the issue by issue?
Okay, I'm not somebody who believes that you win issue by issue necessarily. I believe that you pursue issue by issue in a legislative agenda. But to me, you've got to have an inside game and an outside game. And the inside game is that legislative agenda. The outside game is you figure out how to engage the American imagination. Now, when we come back from the break, I want to give you an example of what I mean. Okay, I'm going to tell you something about the Wisconsin Democrats and the promise that presents itself.
He's Harvey K. He's got outside game like Del Curry. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. One last segment. Dial them up. 844-967-2789.
It's a process. It's a process. We'll get it done.
This is really a stinkeroo.
I beat the socialists. That's how I got elected.
I was sad for America. I was sad for America.
19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
With so much loss, you may feel like you can't handle it all. Meditation or other spiritual practices can help you feel more grounded and better able to cope.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
600,000 Wisconsin families are receiving checks to help take care of their kids, thanks to the expanded child tax credit passed by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Ron Johnson voted against these checks for Wisconsin families, despite voting for a 2017 tax break that put more money into the pockets of millionaires like himself. It's time to vote Ron Johnson out of office. MoveOn.org political action, paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Poll.moveon.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Spruce up your home with non-toxic vegan candles from Wisco Home Goods. I'm Don, one of the owners of this family-owned Midwestern business in Madison, Wisconsin. Our candles are 100% sustainable and come in a variety of unique blends and scents that make a perfect holiday gift. Plus, at Wisco Home Goods, we believe in giving back. With our Do Good, Smell Good campaign, a portion of the proceeds go to local charities. So support a Midwestern company that supports our local communities. Order now at wiscohomegoods.com.
I love this song. I love nachos.
Loving everything? You might be buzzed.
You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I'm Kirk Bankstad, and I own the Minocqua Brewing Company in Deep Red, northern Wisconsin, and I have a super PAC. We make good trouble by buying billboards, radio ads, and calls to voters in northern Wisconsin. We target federal and state elections, think Ron Johnson and Tom Tiffany, and concentrate on a fair redistricting process. Give a donation now if you're able at the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab. Help us make the politics of the Northwoods as clean as our lakes and streams. That's the MinocquaBrewingCompany.com super PAC tab.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. The Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. One last segment. One fine co-devil, Harvey K. Harvey, appreciate you coming around today. And I'm going to let you set the topic for this last segment. My friend, You talked about what? The Democratic Party of the great state of Wisconsin. Ben Wickler is the chair. What's your advice for Ben?
Okay, my advice for Ben is as soon as possible, Ben Wickler and the Democratic leadership needs to embrace the plan, the project, the bill, okay, that Representative Francesca Hong of Madison and Representative Christina Shelton of Green Bay advanced during this past year. They put together, inspired by the Franklin Roosevelt idea of an economic bill of rights for all Americans. They put together with encouragement, I confess, from myself and from people like John Nichols and others, they put together a Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights. It's there online. And they introduced it to the two caucuses in the House and the Senate. And by most accounts, it has been warmly received. What the Democrats need to do is get that idea, that project out as broadly and as widely as possible. Let Wisconsin once again be the place, the incubator, okay, of social justice, of economic rights that it was for so much of the 20th century. Now, this is important because 20 years ago, I pushed this idea with my friend, my state senator, Dave Hansen, who thought it a great idea, but it somehow just never found its way into the conversation of the Democratic Party. But now with these two freshman representatives, Francesca Hong of Madison, Christina Shelton of Green Bay, there is on the table a Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights. And I can't emphasize enough that however wide this message goes, here in Wisconsin, contact your local representatives and state senators and let them know that you want to know more about the Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights. Let them know that you want Wisconsin to once again become the incubator of great progressive social change. And this is the way to do it.
But Harvey, here in the state of Wisconsin, liberals, Democrats are in legislative minorities. Stuff goes here to die, Harvey. You'll be lucky if you get a committee hearing, Harvey. So tell me how, no matter how inspired the plan of the Democrats, how does it ever get a fair hearing, sir?
How about this? What I used to tell Dave Hansen was, if you're not in power, you have to be imaginative. You have to project a vision. Let people know that the way things are is not the way they have to be, because frankly, most people don't like the way things are. So what the Democrats need to do is they need to carry a message to the people of Wisconsin, give them a reason to believe that it's worth shifting their votes in future elections to Democrats. Let them know that the Democratic Party is not the party of the 1970s and 80s and 90s or even 2000s. It is the party of the 21st century. And for the future of Wisconsin, we need that kind of progressive action. Look, a Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights, a guarantee of a job, a guarantee of economic security, raising the minimum wage. I mean, making the University of Wisconsin, which was always as a system, the greatest university system, not only in the country, but the world, and has been reduced under the Republicans to scratching to hold on to things. I mean, this is a great state. I came to this state back in 1978, absolutely overjoyed at the idea that I would join the University of Wisconsin system faculty. And over the many years, I was always proud of this state. And I remain proud of the state in many ways, but what I remain proud of is often what happened in the past. And it's time that we start writing the future history. And I want to emphasize, Representative Francesca Hong, Representative Christina Shelton from Madison and from Green Bay have literally advanced the vision that the Democrats must embrace. If Ben Wickler's listening to this, and Ben knows who I am, it goes back some time, Ben, wake up, get that Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights out into the public realm. Let citizens hear about it. Let them push the Democrats to push and win elections.
Well, Harvey, Ben's figured out how to raise boatloads of money. Isn't that enough?
No.
Can't Democrats win the money war?
No. We want the people, not just the money. We want the votes. We want to make things. We don't want to have to answer, okay, to people with deep pockets. We want to answer to working class citizens.
Harvey, are you perhaps being a little optimistic? I mean, here in the state of Wisconsin, again, you're not going to have multiple legislative achievements, not as a Democratic Party, not even with the best of maps proposed by the governor. It's still going to be a legislative minority for the Dems. So here's my question, Harvey. I mean, the Republicans basically have got us so cooked in the corner that they only govern when they control the levers of power. And when Democrats have power, they basically shut down the government and they stop governing the state of Wisconsin. And yet we seemingly reward them for their intransigence. And now with the gerrymandered maps, Harvey, it's hard to see any other outcome, at least on the legislative side. So next year is coming, man. It's nearly around the corner. Big election year. Read the tea leaves. Tell me, Tony Evers, will he get reelected? And Ron Johnson, while we're at it, how do you think Ron will do?
I think Ron Johnson can be defeated. Okay. I have my preference as to who I'd like to see defeat him. But I want to make it clear. I think that the Evers reelection campaign might need some real revving up. And let's face it, Tony Evers is a good guy, but he's not a dynamic figure. What will make his victory possible is for Democrats to embrace a vision of what the state could once again be. And that's why I'm pushing the Wisconsin Economic Justice Bill of Rights, Crute. I'm not kidding. If you don't have the dynamic leader, have the dynamic vision.
Is legalized marijuana somewhere in that dynamic vision you have for this state of Wisconsin, Harvey?
That's, it's funny. It's funny. Today I was reminded, because somebody else asked me about that. I was reminded that back in 1932, this is a little tangential, but I want to tell the story. In 1932, rich people, the richest people in America, were willing to go with FDR because they believed that he would bring an end to prohibition. He did bring an end to prohibition, but he went much further. He literally transformed America with his Democratic New Dealers. Well, legalize marijuana, sure, but don't make that the end all and be all of what a Democratic Party victory might involve.
What would be the end all beat all here in the state of Wisconsin? At least,
well, for a start, the recovery of working class right to organize and bargain collectively. Make this a state that it once was, with a proud, strong labor movement, not a labor movement that has been not a labor movement that's under siege, that is literally stripped of its collective bargaining rights, especially in the public sector.
Harvey, if Tony Evers is not the dynamic candidate to carry forth the dynamic policy that you think the Democrats need to have a fighting chance, well, who provides that leadership? Does that come from Tammy Baldwin, the eventual senatorial nominee? Who's leading the charge if it ain't Tony, sir?
You've stumped me.
Uh-oh.
You've stumped me.
Come on, I'm not supposed to ever stump you, Harvey.
You stumped me. Well, look, I'm up here in Green Bay. My feeling is that Tony Evers is a good governor. It's a good man. I just don't believe he's dynamic, but he's what we've got. And what we need to do is build the program around him. Okay. Tammy Baldwin, great, progressive, but it's hard to see a senator leading the charge for state office elections.
Are we waiting for La Follette? The Secretary of State's going to lead us to the promised land?
What we need is, look, Aaron Rodgers embarrassed me no end by his behavior on the vaccine. Let him redeem himself. Let him come out of the political closet and let him make it clear that Wisconsin can be great again by going left.
My fear is he would endorse Rebecca Clayfish.
No, I think his fiance would disown him. She was a solid Bernie person, I understand.
Well, I used to think was a reasonable guy and a good quarterback.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think the latter. Harvey K, a great guest, a great co-devil. Thank you so much, Harvey.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Happy New Year.
Live tomorrow.
I did what I came to do.
I think he made clear yesterday that he does not want them to live on the earth anymore.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
This is Chad Spade.